Things just keep happening in Greater Brisbane, and of course the Brisbane Channel is here to keep you across the things you need to know to stay up to date. To stay in the know, make sure you're subscribing and have hit the bell to ensure you get notified when a new video drops. Let's start with some updates that affect all 5 Greater Brisbane LGAs before we move on to more LGA-specific updates. Firstly, good news for first home buyers. This week, the state government announced that they would be axing stamp duty for first home buyers purchasing a new build from the 1st of May. You may remember from an earlier update that regulations were relaxed to allow first home buyers to rent out a room while still remaining eligible for the first homeowner grant, both making buying a first home more accessible and increasing rental supply. It'll be interesting to come back a little down the track to see if there have been any positive impacts of these changes on home ownership and rental prices. While we did mention when it was announced earlier, free flu jabs will be available from the 1st of March to everybody over 6 months of age, including those without a Medicare card. You can get a vaccination by visiting your doctor or a pharmacy near you. Even if you consider yourself to be low risk, it's still worth getting the shot to protect more vulnerable people around you. Last year, 72 people died from the flu in Queensland. This week, the Queensland Government announced an inquiry into the container refund scheme, which rewards members of the community for returning recyclable containers to exchange points. The program's target return rate is 85%, but the figure has been in the high 60s, despite widespread community support. The inquiry will try to identify why the program has fallen short of targets and will assess locations of deposit points to see if there are ways to improve access to the program. A report will be delivered by August of this year, and of course the Brisbane Channel will be across the findings. To something more serious, and according to the police union boss Shane Pryor, police watchhouses across the state are drastically overcrowded. Watchhouses are meant to be temporary holding facilities only. On Monday this week, all watchhouses in major centres across the state were over capacity, with the Brisbane City Watchhouse at 115% capacity. According to Pryor, the main issue is with corrective services not picking up prisoners to return them to jail. Of the prisoners mentioned in the City Watchhouse, 76% were corrections prisoners who had either not been returned to jail after a court date or who had been refused bail. You may be surprised to know that under current legislation, prisoners can be held in watchhouses for up to 21 days before being received by corrective services, although the department says that most are received within 7 days. However, Police Commissioner Steve Goszczylski has acknowledged that the system is under pressure. I should also mention that the Commissioner stepped down from the position on Friday after a cancer diagnosis. This comes as the state government announces additional funding to boost courthouse upgrades at the Brisbane Supreme and District Court, including 3 new courtrooms along with office reconfigurations to accommodate additional staff, allowing for more cases to be heard and processed. Let's go to LGA-specific updates now. Firstly, Brisbane City and the federal government has this week announced $200 million in funding for a range of transport projects in Brisbane. This includes $50 million to contribute, alongside state and local governments, to delivery of a business case to expand the Brisbane Metro bus network to the city's northern suburbs. $2.25 million will go to investigating the scope of works required for the restoration and future maintenance of the Story Bridge, and $1 million for an updated business case for construction of a new active transport bridge from Toowong to West End. Included in the $200 million is also support for the Mogul Road corridor upgrade with road, cycleway and pedestrian infrastructure, and a contribution toward construction of the Sylvan Road Bikeway, which will connect the Western Freeway Bikeway with the Bicentennial Bikeway. These upgrades will be great for getting around Brisbane, but if you're looking to travel further afield, say internationally, you'll want to have travel insurance for your own peace of mind. And did you know that the winner of Best International Travel Insurance for Value in Finder's 2024 Travel Insurance Awards is a local Brisbane company? Wise and Silent Travel Insurance won the 2024 Value Award because it costs less on average but covers you for more. They're also the official travel insurance provider for Australian passengers on Scoot Airlines and the sponsor of this video. Backed by a global insurance provider and a 24/7 medical assistance team, the rave reviews on Trustpilot confirm that you can travel with total peace of mind if you choose Wise and Silent for your next overseas trip. Click this QR code or the link in the video description to get an exclusive 10% discount on your premium. Now to the continuing Star Entertainment saga, which it appears may be close to an end. On Friday morning, Star temporarily paused trading on the Australian Stock Exchange after being unable to release its half-yearly financial statement. Star has told lenders it is 1 week away from running out of cash and has sought clearance for an administrator to take control of the group if it failed to secure any new funding. The group expressed doubts over their ability to continue as a going concern. Going concern is an accounting term for a company expected to continue its operations for the next 12 months without threat of liquidation. It seems the end may be nigh for Star. The 3,000 or so Brisbane employees of Star will be nervously waiting to see what happens next. Of course, the Brisbane Channel will keep you across it and follow the fallout for Brisbane's Queen's Wharf precinct as things progress. You'd remember from the previous week's update that Brisbane City bus drivers held a strike in the morning before peak hours and were planning another this week during the afternoon peak. Well, the union has said that significant progress has been made towards a satisfactory outcome, and they have called off the strike. Originally planned for Wednesday, then moved to Friday before it was cancelled on Thursday. Brisbane City Council agreed to a 7.35% increase over 2 years, back-paid to October of last year. But it wasn't just the bus drivers fighting for pay increases. On Thursday, Brisbane librarians and other council workers walked off the job from 2 to 4 p.m, forcing the closure of libraries, call centres and other council services. The Services Union was pushing for an 8.7% raise over 2 years, but ended up accepting an increase of 3.75% in the first year, followed by 3.6% the following year. Their increase will also be backdated to October of last year. This comes as all Greater Brisbane mayors, apart from Brisbane Cities, receive pay increases of 2.5% effective from the 1st of July. Queensland's Local Government Remuneration Commission is the independent body responsible for assessing the salaries of all councillors in Queensland, apart from Brisbane City Council. Brisbane's are determined by a separate independent tribunal. The reasons for Brisbane City Council's special treatment are complex enough to be a video in its own right, so I won't attempt to go there in this one. Back to the Brisbane City LGA itself, and local artists are being encouraged to join Brisbane City Council's Creative Register to be notified of opportunities as the city looks to invest more in public art. The SEQ City Deal Public Art Initiative, or what I call Sexy DPI, has $2.8 million allocated for more public art, such as murals and installations across Brisbane. The council has even appointed its first ever street artist in residence, Matt Turvo, who you may recognise from the Brisbane Channel's video on the Piece for Peace street art event last year. As mentioned in that video, street artists that started in Brisbane are among the world's best and most influential. Another area Brisbane is hitting above its weight in is medical innovation. This year, Brisbane medtech company Kamaritech took out gold at the Resi Innovators Pitch Challenge in San Francisco during JP Morgan Healthcare Week for their groundbreaking cancer therapies. It's the third year in a row that a Brisbane company took home a prize, with silver and bronze going to Brisbane Enterprises last year and gold and bronze in 2023. And Brisbane is also making a splash internationally in the coffee scene, with local cafe Coffee Anthology placed as the 8th best cafe in the world in the inaugural World's Best Coffee Shops Gala at Coffee Fest Madrid. Cafes were ranked based on a long list of criteria, including the quality of coffee, barista experience, customer service, innovation, ambiance, sustainability practices, food and pastry quality, and consistency. You may remember Coffee Anthology were featured in the Brisbane Channel's video on downtown cafes a few years ago, but that was when they were still in their old location on Margaret Street. Another Brisbane cafe also placed in the top 100 globally, with Fonzie Abbott's headquarters in Albion making number 70. I'm a big coffee drinker, so if you enjoy these updates, you can always buy me a coffee or two to say thanks. Still in Brisbane City, and with the 100-day Games Review reveal just around the corner, there's been a lot of talk about Olympics venues, and last week we looked at discussions around transport infrastructure, but Matthew Durning, studio director of design firm Aspect Studios, suggests that we should not neglect the spaces between venues. He has published a proposal for what he calls the Coral Connector, a 3.5 kilometre long green space linking Kurilpa, South Bank, the Marta Precinct and Woolloongabba. It would revitalise underutilised spaces underneath the rail line, creating a city that feels more connected, welcoming and alive, both for the games and for generations to come, and capitalising on the shade provided by the rail infrastructure. The terms of reference of the Games Review meant the proposal could not be considered in the review. Now to Logan and the Salvation Army's social justice stocktake, which surveyed people around the country, has found that almost 75% of Logan residents feel that housing affordability and homelessness are the main issue for people in their community, and 36% saw it as an issue for themselves. Housing was also the #1 issue of concern for all 3 federal electorates in Logan. With recent figures from the Bureau of Statistics putting the number of homeless people in Logan at around 2,200, and 2023 estimates from the Australian Housing Data Analytics platform suggesting a shortage in Logan of 11,500 homes, the Salvo's General Manager of Policy and Advocacy says large-scale investment in social and affordable housing is desperately needed. Over to Redlands, where demolition of the old council library and customer service building at Capalaba has begun to prepare for stage 1 of the Capalaba Revitalisation Project. The $250 million project will transform the 1.55 hectare site behind Capalaba Central Shopping Centre into the urban heart of Capalaba, including enhancements to the entertainment and restaurant precinct, retail, mixed-use residential, commercial areas, and a new library customer service centre and community hall. Up in Moreton Bay, and their City Council have announced the release of updated flood data and maps to allow residents to better understand their flood risk. Data from more recent rainfall events, as well as technological upgrades and new guidelines, have allowed Moreton Bay's flood database to become more accurate. Unlike in Logan, where updates recently saw many properties labelled as lower risk than previously, in Moreton Bay, about 9,300 properties have been assessed as being higher risk due to the improved flood mapping. These properties' owners will be receiving letters from council notifying them of the change and telling them what the next steps to take are. But that's not the only major change to happen in Moreton Bay. In the last week, the City Council repealed their Persons Experiencing Homelessness Camping Framework, effective from March 12th. This was a set of guidelines for how Council managed camping on public land by people experiencing homelessness. They say that by repealing the framework, effectively making all camping on public land illegal, they're moving in line with neighbouring councils. Reasons given for the change include increased illegal activities such as drug use, aggression towards public space users and council staff, hygiene issues, and a significant one was reports of people experiencing homelessness choosing to camp and refusing crisis accommodation and other offers of assistance. Having spoken with people experiencing homelessness, I can say that the reasons for that may be more complex than they sound, but that's something for a deeper, more involved, specific video. It is on the list though. This week has been a big one for the Brisbane channel as well, as it's the week I finally took the leap to go full-time with the channel. If you missed it, I talk about some of the exciting changes on the way in this video. Thanks for all your support, especially these people supporting the channel as members. See you in the next video.